Welcome to the Brad and Taylor Show. Today we have Rennie Barton.
You're listening to The Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way.
Hey, Rennie.
How are you guys doing?
We're good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah.
Course.
We're doing awesome over here. Well, let's get this started. So tell us a little bit about you and kind of what do you do?
So I am the owner of City Store National Franchises. We're a franchise company, a small one. We have 13 locations across from Fort Myer to Mesa, Arizona we just actually signed Vegas. So that's pretty exciting
nice.
for us. Most of ours are here in Michigan. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Vegas, good to go.
and
Yeah,
I'm a
that's
real
exciting.
estate agent. That's probably my primary thing I do. So
Yep, that's awesome. So when you were younger, did you plan on having a whole bunch of offices everywhere? What was your plan?
no, that wasn't actually my plan. So when I got out of school, my intentions were I actually went into manufacturing and I was there for probably close to 10 years.
Wow.
But obviously, during 2008, 2009, the recession hit and, it's something that people thought job security was. It wasn't, right? Because everybody got laid off from manufacturing. So I was like, well, if I'm gonna be in this position, I didn't get laid off, but if I was gonna be in a position that could happen, I might as well just do it for myself and be in control.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's perfect. So how did you go from when did you decide you should get your license? Like during that time you said, but what made you think of get your license?
So during that time, what I ended up doing was, that was a pretty scary time, I think, for most people that were in manufacturing. So what I decided I was going to do was sell my house. I didn't want that overhead. I had one kid at home. I had to be in my wife, and I just was like, I need to be able to provide for them. So I sold my house, and at that time, I was a real estate agent, and we really clicked. They were like, "Hey, we're going to start a property management company, and we'd like you to run that. We think you'd be a good fit for it, but you need to get your real estate license." So at that time, I got my real estate license, but within 6 months of me getting my real estate license, I realized that property management wasn't my thing that I wanted to get into. Real estate sales and building agents and kind of going down that path was my dream and goal from there.
That's awesome. Good for you.
So how long were you an agent before you opened up the franchise, before you started building in all these other locations?
So how that started for me is I didn't start the company. Steve and Shelley Frody started
Okay.
the company with City to Shore. And then I was an agent with them we were out of the basement of their house at first. And I was an agent with them for probably a good 8 years. And then, we helped develop all the systems and get those going. But then we decided that at that time, we had a good thing. So we went out to lunch with Steve and Shelley and proposed franchising it. And that's what we decided at that time. But then I asked them if we were going to franchise it, that I wanted ownership in that company.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when did you first open your second location? So where's the first one at?
The first one's in Hudsonville, Michigan. So technically how that works is that is owned by Steve and Shelley, that office. That is our first location. But then our first franchise we sold ever was in Lake City. And that is up north a little bit more from us and Michigan. And then they ended up actually buying 3 of them from us,
Wow.
which was really and then they ended up expanding up that way. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So then was that did it happen right away when you decided to do it? How do you market to this to someone to come buy a franchise from you?
It's one of those things where so far it's been mostly, except for our Vegas office, it's all been word of mouth. It's been, so the first one was actually an agent with us here in Hudsonville, but they were a pretty top producing agent, but they had some things going on in Lake City. And then they partnered with a top producer from Remax. She came on over and them two started a City Store. Well, started 3 of them.
That's awesome.
Together. So, and then, so most of it for us has been word of mouth. We do quite a bit of brand awareness and marketing in our fund right now.
Yeah.
So, starting a franchise company, it does have, you're trying to build a brand, right? And you're going against some of the bigger brands, but I believe our system beats those. It just takes time to get that out there.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
When did when you started out, you said, you started out at Studio Store, right? That's like your first brokerage?
It wasn't. No,
Okay.
believe it or not, it wasn't. No, I
Did,
was actually with a company called Five Star Real Estate.
oh yeah. And
Okay.
then
I was originally with them,
did
and I was
you,
probably there for maybe a year,
hmm,
and then went over to City to Shore.
that's awesome. So when you started out, did you start out as a team or did you like just solo or how
I
did
was
that?
just, I was with, I just sold. I was pretty much solo. Like Steve and
Yeah.
Shelley, like I said, I kind of tagged along with them for the most part, getting into it at
Mhm.
first. But yeah, pretty much solo. Yeah, did all my own real estate sales and anything like that. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Take us to your first transaction. How did that first listing go for you? Was it smooth, or did you have some bumps along the way that you were able to learn from?
So the first few years, not first few, probably the first year, I just wanted to work with buyers.
Mhm.
Okay.
I was really nervous about actually taking listings, to be honest with you. So you get in and you're unaware of everything that's going on. You're taking on a lot of information. So I remember making the comment to Steve Frody. I was like, I just don't know if I ever want to list homes. But the market was way different. Back then, people, I mean, buyers, everybody, it was tough selling houses. I mean, they used to have these things called foreclosure. They were HUD keys, and you'd get a set of 8 of them, and you'd walk around and you'd pick one street, and your buyer had a picking to whatever house they wanted. That's much different than what it is today, right? It was crazy. Like, so I've been able to see different market shifts and what's happening. And now we're in that extreme opposite right now. So at that time, I was like, I just want to help buyers. That's all I was interested in, because there's a lot to learn on the listing side. But then as the market shifts, you do learn, and I got pretty good. And now I do a lot of listings. I do more listings than anything now. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's where to go.
yeah,
Well,
right now.
Right now, yeah.
Can't beat it right now. What kind of advice did you get when you kind of started out that kind of stuck with you along the way that that kind of helped you?
If I had to narrow it down to one word, to be honest with you, it'd be perseverance. It's just pushing forward with everything you got. Real estate is one that it can beat you up. So for a new agent to sit there and say, yeah, it's one of those ones that, you're constantly trying to learn and learn. The market's always changing. Like I said, I went in when I first came in and it was a great buyer's market. Now it's a great seller's market. And you got to be able to mold with that. It's really tough if you're not making it a lifestyle. I always tell people real estate is not a 9 to 5. You're not a normal job. It's definitely a lifestyle. You immerse yourself in it and everything you do. And but it is a family. My family is heavily active as well, so it's not one of those things where I'm working all the time, every day, every minute of every day.
Yep.
But you are available to your clients 24/7, and it's one of those things where perseverance, working, and just working out the lifestyle that you want through it.
Yeah, for sure. Over the last couple of years, is there any property that sticks out to you that has just been the worst property you've been to? Or have you been to a home where just something bizarre has happened when you were showing?
Trying to think of something. Real estate, I can't think of anything specific. No, I have been in situations, in homes that are kind of, goofy, especially when it was the buyer's market and there was listings everywhere. You'd go into these foreclosure homes and there was people living in them and that shouldn't have been living in them and things like that. I had a transaction once where the night before closing, somebody came in, broke into it and cut out all the copper pipes throughout the whole home, things like that. But again, perseverance, you're just kind of tackling that. Worked out for the best because I got them to get all the bank paid for all brand new stuff throughout their whole entire home. It was just delayed a little bit, but again, just pushing through. Right now, I would say is probably the most challenging time in real estate, just for the sake of you're taking people through many homes and they're not, they might lose a deal or two before getting it. So, right now I would say is probably more challenging than it was. I kind of say, it's like a funnel and everything. Imagine jamming everything into a funnel and everything is kind of stuck. You got to get that a little bit loosened up. And I think that's where we're at in the real estate. So I do think it will happen. It's funny, you get these people that think the real estate market's going to shift to a buyer's market again. I don't see that coming, but I do think it could free up a little bit and be where it's good for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, on average, how many showings do you do before an offer gets accepted? Because I know it's kind of a struggle for everybody. But on average, how many homes do you think you show just before it gets accepted?
Yeah, so that's a tough one because I have a client right now that I've been working with for 3 years, and showing him sporadically homes off and on. I bet you I've showed him 100 homes, but then I just recently closed the deal. So average, I bet you people are looking at 15 homes. I would say that would be the average
Yeah.
before actually obtaining a home, 15 to 20, I would say. But I've had up to 100, 150 homes that I've showed one person, and
Wow.
it's just that every person's just a little bit different in their comfort level and what they're trying to do. I think every real estate agent will say that, one of the biggest misconceptions that people have as real estate agents is they're nervous about wasting their real estate agent's time. I don't know a real estate agent that cares about that. I think it's more about the relationship. I believe I've never met a relationship because one family you can take over one family, and over the next 4 years you can pull 10 deals off of referrals off of them. So
Mm-hmm.
who cares if you're showing one person 100 homes and they still never bought a home? It doesn't matter. It's about just the relationship and building that relationship and them walking away extremely happy. And if they do, um, it will come. The money does come. It just might not be in that specific transaction or anything like that. It's not like, so yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I agree with that 100%. Building that relationship is key.
It is.
Yeah. So let's talk about let's talk about City to Shore. Sell us on why someone should use should like buy a franchise. Tell us more about the whole franchise.
Yeah, so City to Shore is unique. How it was designed was so that first year when City to Shore came out and Steve and Shelley decided they were going to start a company. It's unique for the sake of how much the community had to jump in because their daughter came down with leukemia. So they spent a lot of the time up in the hospital. I mean, they were whenever they could be in the hospital, they had to be in the hospital. So Steve and Shelley's sister stepped in, and then some other people, a lady named Teresa Molzer stepped in, stepped in, a bunch of people. But what we do was figure out a way to streamline systems for our agents because we were trying to do it for Steve Frody at the time because he had to be at the hospital. So when he was out, we didn't want him to do anything that wasn't profitable. So if it wasn't anything from negotiating, showing homes, writing offers, we wanted him to handle all that on a brokerage level. These brokerages now have admins where they'll help them with those things, but ours is built in every transaction, no matter what. So all of our agents have that consistency because we want to set that brand across every state to where they're like, okay, we know how a deal, and that's how we actually ended up, it or not, is there was somebody here that has done a ton of real estate. She did a deal with Real City to Shore, and she was like, you guys are different. There's something smoother and better about doing something to Arizona. So that kind of an exciting thing. So that's what I would say the biggest thing that makes us stand out and that's different is our agent support and how we run that. Because our agents, it's just automatic. One of the things that I was at the previous brokerage I was with, you're always nervous of what programs you can and can't use. So you're a new agent, you come in the company and you're like, okay, I know this agent over here is doing 30, 40, $50 million in volume. Do I get the same services as that agent? He gets special treatment. We don't do any of that here. There's not something that somebody, even me as owner, gets that if somebody was to come in tomorrow and say, hey, I want to become an agent with you, I'm not getting any special treatment whatsoever on anything. All our programs are exactly the same for every person. So you can have confidence coming in that you're getting what you need. I would say the second thing is we have a thing called the REAP program, the Real Estate Advantage Plan. So for any agent that brings somebody in, they can pull residual income off of that the rest of their life. And that's also willable to the next generation, which is really nice. So there's some agents in our company that, I mean, it all depends on how much you recruit, but you can make an extra 30, 40, 50, 60 grand a year just by recruiting agents, which is really nice. More than them just making that money and residual income off that agent. What I find that does is if you mixing agent support with the REAP program, and then we have some other programs, but when it comes to those two things, what it does is it kind of breaks that mold of these big brokerage firms right now that it's everybody for everybody themselves, right? So they're sitting in their office and they're just grinding, trying to get that next deal. And they're not going to share their secrets because if anything, you're stealing my business. Why would I share my secrets with you? We broke that mold 100%. That doesn't even exist in our office at all. I don't know of an office out here that is I've never seen an office like City Shore offices that everybody's helping everybody grow, because we have the agent support that everybody is using. We have the REAP where everybody's kind of could be benefiting off each other. So it's like everybody's just helping each other. The whole system is designed to where it creates that culture. It's hard to kind of explain, but you have to be here to kind of see it. But, and then I would say the third thing, especially for people that buy a franchise, is we have created our own proprietary software, and our software has our own contact management. We have everything is in one system. So contact management, you can do forecasting. So you put in your clients and you can put in there, like if they're going to buy and sell next year, see what your upcoming year looks like. It also hosts all our transactions. So you can go in there and see your past performance, future performance. You can send out like automatic text. So you can do like happy birthday, Merry Christmas, and that'll blast out to your whole sphere. And then also email drip campaigns and everything. So there's a lot more to it than I'm explaining, and that would take a long time, but we have our own proprietary software that we created ourselves, which that's a lot of work. I mean, that's a lot. And, but we have the right team in place that handles that. We have a full-time in the franchise, a full-time IT department that handles all that. So yeah.
That's awesome. I like it. I remember when I went over to your office the first time, just seeing how the whole operation worked, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's grown a lot even since then.
Yeah. I bet. Awesome. Well, let's say we had to, we'll change up some questions here. Let's say you had to start all over today. You only had $1,000. How would you spend that first $1,000?
So if I was a new agent starting with $1,000, I'd probably start it just by building relationships, and spending it on those people. I've done a lot of things in real estate, to be honest with you, wasted a lot of money. It's amazing. I've been in the news. I've been, and I've done all sorts of things. And my number one thing is just building those relationships that I have now and holding on to those as tight as possible, so that even if they aren't people that I've sold real estate with, but they're supporters of my business. I think about, you, Brad, it's like one of those things where you and your family, to me, they're important people in my life. Right. So those things where the more you can hold on to those relationships, build those relationships stronger. That's where I think I would spend all my money. I would say, hey, can I take those people out for coffee? I would say coffees, lunches, breakfast, as much as you can go out with those people that care about you and you build those relationships. I think the world is changing in that aspect, where it used to be big brand, big marketing, bigger names, bigger faces. And now it's not that. It's more on relationships. Everything's about relationships. It's your 100 people. And if those 100 people can send you one deal a year, you're probably in the top 1% of real estate agents in the country.
Yeah. That's awesome. Hey, actually, you remember we actually did go out for coffee.
We did. That's the first time I met you. Yeah.
Yep, you got a deal out of it.
Yeah, it was funny because I don't know if you want me to mention how we met, but I Brad, it's one of those things. I just seen some of the stuff he did on social media, and he's probably at least an hour from here. And I was like, let's go out for coffee, and he was instantly on it. And I thought that was really kind of neat to see how inspiring that was, of how you handle your business. And I'm serious about that. I'm not just saying that because I'm here on camera. It's inspiring how you do things, for sure.
Thanks. Yeah, pretty much just like you said, you figured out like the coffee situation. Like that's exactly the same thing we figured out too. Like just go get relationships, go meet for coffee with people. And like it just works. It just like you guys do it all the time. Like we do it all the time. It just, it works. Just keep doing it. just build
caring about
relationships.
people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot
Genuinely.
easier. Yeah, to build a genuine relationship in person rather than behind a screen.
Yeah.
100% agree with you. Yeah. I mean, I just went this weekend, Saturday. I had a client that they invited me to his son's open house. And to me, that's just powerful because it's like I've sold the, most of that family. It's wild. Just that family alone. I sold most of it from the aunts, uncles, great grandmas, grandpas, great grandma and grandpas, all of their homes. And now I go to the open house, and honestly, it feels like my second family. Like I'm there and I'm hanging out, and it's like I know more people than some of the family members do because I'm just all around talking to them. It's a wild experience just to be able to be involved in that. So
yeah, that's awesome. What is one of the best books that you've read that you could recommend?
I would say one of the best books that I read, I really like. To me, I think Upside. It's a book about, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's basically about demographics and the world in the United States and where that is going currently. I think everybody should read it to kind of wrap your head about where the world is going. I think there is some positive momentum happening in this negative world that you do see. I think there is some good things happening. I do think there's some change that is needed, but I think the world is changing. I think, this whole conversation, one of the things that we have noticed is those relationships. I think it used to be big business, big brand, the guy that's on billboards and all sorts of wild and crazy things, but I don't think that works anymore. And if you read this book, it kind of talks about that. It just kind of talks about what, if you know what's coming. Like, so one of the things that hits on hard is the next biggest generation to the baby boomers. If you look at the baby boomers and how they shaped the United States, right now you're seeing with the baby boomers, a lot of retirement homes and and then along with like funeral homes and all those things are really booming right now because of the baby boomers. The next generation is around 13 years old, and they're just as big as the baby boomers coming right up behind it. So when I look at those things, if you're aware of what's going on there, and say, okay, you got a whole generation coming up behind us that is going to need homes. Do you think the housing market's going to be coming down? It might have a little bit of dip in between, but it's not. You're going to see prices significantly continue to increase because you got a whole generation coming right up that needs homes. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Well, before we go, how can people get a hold of you?
You can call me or text me at 616-856-1492, or you can visit my website or go to city2shore.com. I mean, you can find me all over there. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I like it. Thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us today.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me.
Are these working?
All right.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we got to tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe? What do we got to point at? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
It might be there.
It might be right there too.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Find it. It's red.
Yeah. And
Red.
it's blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah. I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them also give us a 5-star review for listening on Apple. That'd be cool.
5 stars, guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take 4 stars.
I mean, Taylor, I don't even think these are on. I mean,
I don't think this is working.
This is not working.